Hey guys, and welcome to another video. As always, it's me reviewing the Palace game, our away game against Watford on Saturday. So 0-0 draw, quite a frustrating game. Not really a lot of chances created by both sides. Palace not even having a shot on target, so it kind of tells you about the type of game it was. Going into the game, I was thinking after, good wins against Burnley and Bournemouth in the previous two, I was thinking, yeah, let's go and win this. But then I was sort of a little bit of doubt crept in my mind when I saw that Watford got a manager announced before the game, or a couple of days before. Nigel Pearson coming in, who's like an established manager, has done well for Leicester in the Premier League, good manager. So I thought, oh yeah, here we go. It was sort of that feel to it when we got there. Like, you could see as soon as the game started, Watford they were pressing, they were sort of sharp in the challenge, being quite physical. They were sort of that little level higher, which shows you they're obviously playing to try and impress the manager. As you do, a new manager comes in, but it's sort of frustrating because, obviously going into the game, you would have gone, yeah, Watford bottom of the league. They're not really playing that well. Confidence is low. We can get at them, and because as soon as they get a new manager, bang, suddenly Delafeu plays 10 times better. Deeney's suddenly a monster again. The defence is solid. Foster's suddenly a good keeper, commanding in the box. That sort of thing. It's a bit annoying, really. Why teams do that. You've seen it with Everton. They've, obviously Silva got sacked and suddenly then they beat Chelsea in the first game when he got sacked. Because other teams have done it, even Palace have done it in the past. But it's something we should have maybe planned for or expected to happen. And we know that obviously when we play Watford, because of the sort of history between us, i.e. beating them in the playoff final, beating them in the FA Cup semi-final, and sort of the history between Zaha and their fans and that, we know it's always going to be sort of a tough game, very physical they're going to be, which they were. But yeah, overall I thought we played well, but we had very, very little chances in the game. But we defended very well. And when it did get through again, Guaita, who I think, as I said in the last video, I think he's up there in like one of the top 3 keepers at the moment. That's just my opinion. The amount of saves he's made, he's very commanding. The improvement he's made since he's come in, has been, extraordinary really. Like, to be playing just in sort of a mid-table Spanish side as he was in La Liga before, and to come in what people call the best league in the world, the hardest league, and just to perform like that, it shows how good keeper we've got on our hands. Hopefully, he'll stay for a long time. So sort of our defence, obviously with all the injuries happening, obviously with Sacco being suspended, Joel Ward injured, Van Aanholt injured, Dan obviously got injured. It wasn't a makeshift defence, but it was all we had to play really, all we had to put in. Thankfully Gary Cahill was back, so we had Jeff Sloop was left back. We had Cahill and Tompkins as the centre back, and Martin Kelly right back. I just want to do a little shout out to Martin Kelly because, again, like the last few games or last 5-6 games, he has performed excellently really. Whether he's had to play centre back, he's had to play right back, whether he's come on and he's in left back, he's just no complaining, and he gives 8 out of 10 every week. But some of the challenges he made in the game, if it was any other defenders, they would be raving about it. But he's really, really sort of come out of his shell and really shown that he's top performer. When say Ward and Van Aanholt come back, or even Sacco from suspension, we know he can play anywhere across the back four, and when that's good to have in a team. for sure, having a player who can be so versatile like Kelly. You know, it's similar to like Milner at Liverpool. You know, he can play sort of anywhere, and that's what we've got in Kelly, across the back four. And he can play midfield. He has played there before. But yeah, I'm just been really impressed by Kelly recently, last 2 games, and hopefully he can carry it on. And yeah, I think I have seen a stat with Kelly. I can't be 100% accurate on it, but I saw a stat on Instagram that in his last like 5-6 games played, nearly everyone has been clean sheets. We haven't lost in that period when Kelly's played. So that's a pretty mad stat to have. And yeah, so shout out to Martin Kelly. Hopefully he can keep it up going into the rest of the season. So yeah, in terms of attacking threat, we didn't really have any. Zaha tried, you know, he was getting on the ball a lot, trying to beat them. As always, against Watford, it's always targeted. One by their fans, singing he's going to cry in a minute and all that crap, or dive in a minute, whatever they choose to sing. But he was targeted and got a very, very debatable booking. If you want to see it, just watch. I don't know if Match of the Day showed it because I haven't watched it, but just go on the Crystal Palace Instagram page, and it's on there. Literally, he's fighting with, I think it was Kabasele or something like that, and you know, Kabasele's arm comes out, Zaha sort of goes into him a little bit, then he runs past him. There's a little coming together, and they both go down. Then Kabasele goes down, even though it didn't even touch him there, he goes down holding his right shin. And then the ref, who didn't even see it, blows his whistle. The Watford players go all around him, and he books Zaha. Now, I know obviously VAR isn't for that kind of stuff, but surely they can have a little talk in Axon's ear and go, look, you've been had there. Book Kabasele for, you know, gamesmanship or whatever it's called, diving, you know, I don't even know the word, but like, you know, conning the ref, you know, it's ridiculous. He goes down, you know, Zaha like brushed him on the shoulder because it was a coming together, and he goes down holding his right shin. It's like blatantly trying to get Zaha booked, and they know that obviously Zaha can get angry quite easily, but you know, as James McCarthy I think said in the lead up to the game, that's one thing Zaha's got to work on, especially if he does go to a big club sort of in the next, you know, year or so, which is probably going to happen. He's got to learn to control his temper. But I thought, you know, Zaha did play well. Unfortunately, in the chances we did had, Ayew put a really good chance in the second half, I think, over the bar, when, you know, if he got it on target, you never know. But it was frustrating. But, you know, as I said in the video before, you know, we've got to respect the point at the end of the day. As I said, every point counts in this league, and you know, the last 3 games out of possible 9, we got 7. So that is really good. And again, as I said, the games are getting judged on, you know, we haven't lost yet. So we beat Burnley, beat Bournemouth, and we drew with Watford. Okay, you can say, well, yeah, Watford are bottom of the league. We should maybe gone a bit more out to beat them. But I think, as Hodgson said in his post-match interview, you know, we were so depleted at the back that, you know, he's just set up to try and, you know, not lose, basically. It is frustrating when you go there as a fan and you can see your team is setting up for a draw, not really attacking so much. But at the end of the day, you've got to respect what the manager's doing. You know, he wants, obviously, the players to come back. And then when they come back, he'll push more. Obviously, Sloop, I don't know if he got injured or not, but he did come off at half-time and sort of forgot a man. Riedewald come on in the second half. I think he did actually quite well, considering he hasn't really been playing that much. He's sort of been playing for our development squad. But shout out to Riedewald as well to come in a game like that, especially how Watford were playing. You know, and he did very well, looked quite accomplished. And you know, hopefully we'll see a bit more of him. You know, he's a good player. Obviously, he was signed back when Frank de Boer was our manager from Ajax. But yeah, unfortunately, hasn't been able to get in the squad. He's played every now and then. and he has looked good, but unfortunately, with the form of our sort of defenders, he hasn't had a look in so far this season. So yeah, the very brief video today. Obviously, I could go into a lot more detail of other stuff, but I wanted to just go on. A few shout outs, a few players, a brief review of the game, and a few about Watford. That sort of thing. Obviously, we're 10th now. With obviously a few other sides winning over the weekend, so we've dropped a few places there. But we're still the same gap to 18th place for 7 points. There's a few of the teams on 22 like us. So yeah, it's very, very tight at the moment. There's not sort of one team in that sort of bubble that's creating a little gap, but it's nice to sort of have a little cushion. So if we do lose, we know that we're not going to drop too many places. So yeah, we're still doing okay. We're still doing well. We're 10th at the moment. It has been a good start to the season, all right. Even though we didn't win or pick up many points against the top 6 sides, are we expected to? No. And as I said in the last game, against the teams that we are sort of playing against, we've got 7 points from a possible 9. So what can you know? You can't really moan about that. So next game coming up is Brighton at home on the Monday night. If you're a Palace fan or Brighton fan, you know how big this game is. It's both sets of supporters. Massive rivalry between the two, and it's going to be a good game. Brighton playing well this season. Under their new manager, they do look really good. I've watched them in spurts sort of this season, and yeah, they do look really good. So they like to get the ball down and play. They've got some fast wingers. So hopefully we can get a few world defenders back for that game. And yeah, let's see. Obviously, if you don't understand the rivalry, Sky Sports tried to get on it last season by putting the game at 12 o'clock on a Saturday. And they called it the M23 derby or A23 derby, whatever. No, it is a derby. People are like, oh, well, they're miles away from each other. Just type in Google, why Crystal Palace and Brighton fans hate each other so much, or rivalry between Crystal Palace and Brighton. And then there's a whole page on it, and then you understand. Obviously, if you're a Palace fan like myself and Brighton fan, you understand it. But it is a derby. It is big games, and it was further ignited by obviously us being the first team to beat them at their stadium, which they still talk about now. And then obviously the night when Zaha scored twice and we beat them 2-0 in the playoff semi-final the year we went up. And obviously we beat them in the Prem, and obviously we've got to try and get back at them. They did the double over us last season, so obviously they're on their high horse about that, but we still finished above them even though they did the double over us. So yeah, it's going to be a very interesting game. Really looking forward to it. Should be a great atmosphere at Palace. And yeah, Palace Brighton, always a good one. That is our next game, so I'm going to that. I'll get the video out Tuesday, Wednesday for you guys. Hopefully in good spirits if we've won, or quite a solemn video obviously if we lose against our rivals. Anyway guys, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you're a Palace fan, how do you think we played against Watford? Do you think it was right how Hodgson set us up for that game in terms of the tactics? And what do you think against Brighton? Do you think we can win? Or do you think they're actually better than us this season and we should play for a draw? Be nice to hear your views. Watford fans, do you think you'll escape relegation now? You've got a sort of established manager in terms of Nigel Pearson. How do you think you played against us? And do you think that performance is going to set sort of the tone for the rest of your season? Where do you think you'll finish? So that is all for today, as I just mentioned. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video, which will be Brighton at home. Thanks for watching guys, and goodbye.